Before we start tonight's meeting, this is March the 2nd. You can remain in your seats. I'd like to have a moment of silence in honor of Missouri State Auditor Tom Schweik. As a state capital, we know these people well because our neighbors, our brothers, our parents, so many of them work for the state. So for Tom and his family, we'll have a moment of silence. Thank you very much. Now please stand and rise for our Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Branch.
Here.
Costales.
Here.
Graham.
Here.
Henry.
Here.
Hussey.
Here.
Medine.
Here.
Mahalovich.
Here.
Prather.
Here.
Scrivener.
Here.
Ward. Here.
We have a motion or a consensus tonight. Everyone's here. We have a quorum. Next, we'll have a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Next, on our miscellaneous items, I'll call on Chief Roger Schrader for some new hirees. Chief, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, last time, or several times during the past year, I've addressed the council regarding the number of vacancies that we have, and it was quite a few throughout the year, to include military service, injured officers, and just plain vacancies. And I'm pleased to bring before you tonight, I think I have 7. There are 2 other individuals who are presently attending the academy at the University of Missouri. One reason we delayed a couple of months was to try to coordinate that Monday night when they would be able to be here. That hasn't worked, and tonight they're having a makeup class, so we're going to proceed without those 2. But I intend to bring them before the council probably in May, after we hire some other employees to continue to complete our ranks, and we'll bring them then and present all those to you. So I would first like to introduce our police officers, and I'll have them stand. Please stand, all of you. And then we'll just go down the line from your left to right. It's the way I have them on the paper, so I've got them aligned properly. First is Officer Dan Monroe. Dan is originally from Centralia. He attended Moberly Area Community College. He received his post license from the Law Enforcement Training Institute at the University of Missouri in Columbia. He was previously employed as a police officer at the Lincoln University Police Department, and was most recently employed as a deputy marshal with the 13th Judicial Circuit Court in Boone County. Next is Officer Charlie St. Onge. Now, K Road officer, Charlie's really not an officer yet. He has his license, but he was hired 2 years ago, February of 2013, as a communications operator. We asked Charlie to bide his time, which he faithfully did. And within the next few weeks, Charlie will be transferred to the patrol section and assume the duties of patrol officer. So, Charlie, as I said, began employment about 2 years ago with us. He earned his bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Lincoln University. He graduated from the Missouri Sheriff's Academy, so he is post-licensed also. He previously worked as a dispatcher for the Lincoln University Police Department. Next, we have Officer Sherry Kaufman. She is originally from O'Fallon. She attended St. Charles Community College and is currently attending Columbia College. Sherry received her post-license also from LETI at the University of Missouri. She was employed for 5 years as a police officer with the University of Missouri Police Department. Next, Officer Josh Hewitt. He's originally from Donovan, Missouri. He earned a Bachelor of Science degree in criminal justice from Hannibal Grange University. He graduated from the Federal Law Enforcement Training Institute in Glencoe, Georgia in 2011. And Josh previously worked as a law enforcement officer at the United States Forest Service in both Salem, Missouri and Washburn, Wisconsin. And finally, Officer Brandon Paxton, who's originally from Warsaw, Missouri. He earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Criminal Justice from the College of the Ozarks. Brandon also holds an Emergency Medical Technician certification from Southern Maine Community College. He worked as a reserve officer with the Kennebunkport, Maine Police Department and was a police officer with the Freeport, Maine Police Department for 7 years. He's also an FAA certified commercial pilot. So we welcome them here tonight, and those are 5 of the 7 we've employed since December. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you. I have 3 communications operators recently employed. First, again, left to right, is communications operator Ben Pruitt. Now, he was previously employed with our department from December of 2008 to January of 2012, and he resigned to explore other academic interests in the criminal justice field, but he remained with us as a reserve officer. Operator Pruitt has a Bachelor of Science degree in English, a Bachelor of English Literature, a Bachelor of Science degree in Criminal Justice, and a Master's degree in English from Southeast Missouri State. Next, we have communications operator Jen Kane. She's originally from Texas. Jen obtained a Bachelor of Arts degree in Psychology from Columbia College. She was previously employed as an office administrator with Hanger Prosthetics and Orthotics in Columbia. And last but not least, we have communications operator Michelle Owsley. Michelle's originally from Versailles. She attended Columbia College, Lake Ozark. Operator Owsley has 10 years of experience working as a communications operator at both the Morgan County Sheriff's Department and the Camden County Sheriff's Department. And with all that experience, she comes to us as a MULES, as in acronym MULES, certified person within the state of Missouri. So that's very important to us. So those are our 3 communications operators I believe we hired respectively in October, December, and January. Thank you.
All right, thanks again for being here and welcome. Chief, how many additional spots will that give you in your budget where you currently stand?
We were at full staff for 2 days in December. Since then, we've had a retirement. A couple of people have moved out of state to accept jobs elsewhere. So we presently have 3 police officer positions, 1 communications operator position, and 1 veterinarian. However, I was talking previously to Councilman, and indicating that with the number of candidates that we have, as our process is now beginning for those 3 positions, I'm very comfortable that we'll be able to, again, be at full staff come first part of May.
Okay, so the budget that we finished here just a few months ago will give you the tools to fully staff the department.
Well, I exclude the 1 position that, is tentative. That's
Right.
Excluding that position.
Right, okay. Thank you very much, Chief. Moving on, under public hearing, we'll have 3rd reading of Bill 2014-116.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, providing for the voluntary annexation of real property contiguous to the present city limits into the City of Jefferson, Missouri, located in the 200 block of Bridge Creek Road, described as part of the west half of the northeast fractional quarter of Section 4, Township 44 North, Range 12 West, in the County of Cole, State of Missouri, and amending Section 1-17 of the Code of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, defining the existing city boundary by adding 1 new subsection pertaining to the same subject.
Ms. McMillan.
Thank you,
welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The property owner has petitioned the city for annexation of this 15 acres that's immediately west of the city boundary, and proposes to develop it into a multifamily development project, including 52 units of senior housing. And you can see the location here on your screen, north of North 10 Mile Drive. Would be accessed through Chapel Hill Road. This is the layout that they have proposed for the 52 units. And this is a view of what the exterior of the buildings would look like. The Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed the zoning plan at their meeting in January and recommended an RA2 multifamily zoning designation to accommodate this development. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Before we do that, Janice, why don't we open up the hearing first if we could? At this point in time, we'll open up the public hearing pursuant to 2014-116. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this project? Mr. Paul. Welcome, sir. Long time no see. I think last time we saw each other was right in this very chamber.
I believe you're correct.
How's Leadership Jefferson City treating you?
Very good program.
Good.
Enjoying it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Paul Sampson. I'm with Central Missouri Professional Services, and here today representing MoCap Development, who is the owner of the subject property that we're asking to be voluntarily annexed today. As Ms. McMillan said, it's at the end of Chapel Hill Road and Bridge Creek Road, and although the development plan is not up for approval tonight, the handouts that I gave out prior to the meeting show a little bit more detail of what the proposed development plan is and how that affects the adjacent properties. You'll notice that there is 15 acres it's proposed to be developed. The northern 5.6 acres, more or less, is there's no development plan for that portion of the property at this time. The southern 9.3, more or less, acres is where the proposed housing development will be located. The development is a moderately income senior housing development where it has age and income restrictions. It's an extension of the existing 2 phases of Chapel Hill development that are located just to the west of this property. There'll be 52 units, all 2-bedroom units, configured into 6 and 8-plex buildings. There'll also be a community building and an office. All the building exteriors are brick with concrete board siding. Each unit is 835 square feet, and the proposed street and parking area of the development will all be privately maintained. We did hold a meeting in conjunction with the 2 council members from this ward and public works staff, met with the neighborhood to the east and listened to their input and took any concerns that they had into consideration. Their 2 main issues or concerns that they had were clearing of the existing vegetation and stormwater runoff from the proposed development. The site plan that we've put together minimizes the clearing of the existing vegetation to the greatest extent possible. We've maintained a 50-foot no clearing area to the east side of this property to maintain the existing vegetation, and the closest building on the east side of this property would be 115 feet from the property line. Also, in conjunction with the public works staff, we've are contemplating installing a stormwater detention basin just west of Bridge Creek Road on a tract that's also owned by the applicant, and the installation of this stormwater detention basin would help to not only mitigate for the additional runoff from this development, but also mitigate for previous developments upstream that did not have any stormwater detention included in it. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Mr. Sampson? All right, Paul, thanks for being
Thank
here.
you very
Appreciate it. Anyone else to speak in favor of Bill 2014-116? Mr. Steinman.
Leonard Stein, 110 North Lincoln. I'm getting in that age group where I'm starting to consider that alternative housing. When you get to a certain age, to maintain a house and a neighborhood that takes care of you a little bit because you're not all capable of doing what you need to do. These projects work everywhere I've been in the country, and I've noticed that they keep them well maintained, and they also keep the riffraff off like the people running for mayor. Thank you.
Well, at least it wasn't the mayor. Thank you, Leonard. Leonard, I promise one of these days I'm going to have a top 10 of your different speeches over the last 4 years. Anyone else to speak on 2014-116? All right. Anyone to speak against? All right. That will officially close the public hearing. Questions of council to Janice or staff on number 116? Council debate. Bob?
I just want to say thank you to the developer and to staff and everyone who was responsive to concerns that the neighbors expressed. They had gave them opportunity to meet with developers and staff, and I think they did a good job of answering questions and being responsive. This detention basin is something that was added. I don't think it was initially contemplated, and to me that just shows a significant effort to try to meet the concerns of the neighborhood, and I want to thank the developers and staff both for working with to get this thing done.
Any other debate on 116? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Branch,
Aye.
Costales,
Aye.
Graham,
Aye.
Henry,
Aye.
Hussey,
Aye.
Medine,
Aye.
Mahalovich,
Aye.
Prather,
Aye.
Scrivener,
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we'll have third reading of 2014-117.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri approving a special exception signage plan for a superstore big box retail development located in the 3600 block of Country Club Drive and the 3700 block of West Truman Boulevard, described as part of the south half of Section 4 and part of Section 9, Township 44 North, Range 12 West, Jefferson City, Cole County, Missouri.
Ms. McMillan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This plan originally came before the city as a special exception use for the mall development. As you're aware, the owner of the Capitol Mall has requested that to postpone the consideration of the full special exception use permit and redevelopment plan in order to allow for additional communication on details of the plan with its major tenants. In order to maintain the commitments to their some of their future retail tenants, however, the owner wishes to move forward with the signage component of this plan, so this is what is before the council this evening. Changes to the original plan that were submitted on the signage area are to increase slightly the square footage for the pylon sign by Highway 50 that would be located on the Hardee's site. A design change and increase in the square footage from 248 square feet to 562 square feet for the sign that would be located at the mall entrance on Truman Boulevard. And a second pylon sign with similar design and dimensions would be located at this intersection in the future. That would also include the removal of the planned monument sign in front of Hy-Vee that was part of that original submittal. Mr. Paul Sampson is going to go through the details of the signage plan, so I won't do that. But I'd be happy to answer any questions on procedures and that sort of thing.
Okay, at this point in time, we'll open it up to the public for a public hearing. Anyone to speak in favor of 2014-117? Mr. Sampson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Prior to the meeting, I handed out an exhibit showing the revised signage plan updated from the what was presented at the Planning and Zoning meeting. Basically, what we're proposing now is a total of 3 pylon signs for the mall development. What we're calling pylon sign number 1 would be located adjacent to Highway 50, actually on the Hardee's parcel, which is also owned by the mall ownership group. That sign would be approximately 50 feet tall, 550 square feet. It would have room for 4 anchor panels at 80 square feet each, and additional room for possibly 4 tenants with 40 or 50 square feet on each of those additional spaces. Since the planning and zoning meeting, we have eliminated the electronic message center that was previously proposed, as well as reducing the overall height of the sign box itself, and that was due to needing to meet requirements of MoDOT, as from their statutes they regulated as a billboard. As Ms. McMillan said, the total square feet of the sign was increased slightly from 530 square feet to 550 square feet. The second pylon sign that we're proposing will be located adjacent to the Hy-Vee gas station, and that's the existing location of the large Capitol Mall sign, and also Hy-Vee has a marquee on that sign as well. That sign would be 36 feet tall. Again, there would be room for 5 80 square foot anchor panels and 4 smaller 25 square foot panels for future tenants. There was a previously proposed a freestanding Hy-Vee sign in front of their building adjacent to Truman Boulevard. That has been eliminated, and they've been given space on the pylon sign. This sign does propose a electronic message center. In the total square footage of this sign has been increased from 450 square feet to 562 square feet. And we've also proposed adding a third pylon sign potentially sometime in the future if there's enough demand for tenants to have space on the pylon sign. The third sign would be located between Country Club Drive and the Hy-Vee gas station adjacent to Truman Boulevard. Again, this would only be needed only be constructed in the future if there's enough need for future tenant signs. If this sign is constructed in the future, the Capitol Mall or the Capitol 8 Theater sign that's located across the driveway from the Hy-Vee gas station would be removed at that time. The reason that we needed to increase the signage above and beyond what was originally presented at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting was the fact that there's numerous leases that involve all the anchor tenants at the mall, and what happens to one tenant directly affects the other, and there's a hierarchy of who gets biggest billing rights. So if you change the lower one, all the ones above it have to kind of increase as well. So that's where we wound up with the larger panel sizes, which left, we didn't want to increase the overall height of the sign any more than what we had already proposed, and that left just 4 small spaces for any future tenants. And as the ownership group looks to attract new businesses to the mall development, having space available on pylon signs is a very, very big selling point, and is really a critical component to bringing some of the best national tenants to the mall facility. So I would answer any questions.
Any questions? Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else speak in favor of number 117? Leonard.
Leonard Steimer, 110 North Lincoln. I'm in favor of this. The reason why I'm in favor of it is when you drive by there like I do, I'm in a hurry when I go by, okay? And I don't know what stores are in there. I don't know what self-justification I have when I want to go into that place, because usually it's a little bit too big for me and the time limit I have to walk around and find all the spaces. But for the city of Jefferson, it's still tax reform. We need more tax reform to help boost up our economy. And if we have these signs up there about what new businesses are in there or what old businesses are still in there, and people from all over the area, not just Jefferson City, because everybody just keeps thinking about the same people in Jefferson City, but there's a lot of people who use Highway 50, both east and westbound, that when you block off everything with all the trees they have, you can't even see Central Trust Bank's time and temperature sign from the highway anymore, because the trees have outgrown it. And we've never thought about that part of it, and people strain and look to see what's going on that way. And when you're coming through, it's 60 miles an hour. You just don't realize there's a Capitol Mall there unless you lived here. And we want the out people from Kansas City that come through here, and there's quite a few people come through from Kansas City area that don't know that mall is there when they're headed towards the lake. Thank you.
Thank you, Leonard. Anyone else on 117? Anyone against? Going once, going twice? All right, any questions of council or of staff by the council? Any debate by council? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Costales?
Aye.
Graham?
Aye.
Henry?
Aye.
Hussey?
Aye.
Medine?
Aye.
Mahalovich?
Aye.
Prather?
Aye.
Scrivener?
Aye.
Ward? Aye. Branch?
Aye.
We're going to skip number 7 just for a moment. I think one of our 4th Ward councilmen, Mr. Graham, has an announcement to make.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. For those who are in the audience and those who are watching us or listening to us, I'm proud to announce that Councilman Costales and I will be hosting a 4th Ward Town Hall meeting on March the 14th at 10 a.m. at the Capital West Event Center. And that location is 1315 Fairgrounds Road. So once again, that's March the 14th at 10 a.m. Please come out. Even though it's a 4th Ward Town Hall meeting, everyone is invited. Councilman Costales usually do this. We usually do it maybe once a year. So this is the time in which we are doing it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, anything to add? Glenn?
No.
Okay, thanks again, guys, for putting those together. Any announcements by council staff? Seeing none. Okay, we'll move back up towards number 7. First, I have Mr. Bill Betts with an update on the MSP restoration project. This is something that we were able to do with OA going back into last year, trying to protect some of those buildings and roofs, and I think that's finalized, and Bill's going to let us know the overall impact of that.
Yes, sir. As the mayor said, this is the city had previously allocated $1 million for some rehabilitation program at the MSP building. This was a 50-50 project with the state of Missouri. The total cost ended up being $752,672 for the city. So it was less than the $1 million that we had previously allocated. So that left the remaining funds of $247,327.87 to be exact. These funds are part of the $5.5 million from sales tax F that we had agreed to do joint projects with Cole County. It's staff's intention to put those remaining funds back into that pool of the $5.5 million and add that to one of the projects that we might be doing at a later date. So happy to answer any other questions you might have.
Bill, one update. I had gotten a phone call in the last week in regards to, I believe it's Housing Unit 1, Housing Unit 3, I'm sorry. There's a little bit of repair, I guess, there that could be done. I'd ask them to kind of get back with us and see what that might be. I don't think it's a whole lot of dollars, but since we've spent that kind of money on that facility, we may want to continue to look at that in the not-so-distant future while we still have some of that money. So,
okay.
Anyone else have any comments or questions for Bill? Really do appreciate Kathy Brown and the governor and Senator Kehoe helping get all this together, because without their help, we would not have been able to do that. So,
Absolutely.
Bill, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
All right, next, Mr. Lockwood with a Parks and Rec multi-purpose building report.
Thank you, Mayor. Since the last council meeting, the project has entered what we're tabbing as the design development stage of the project. Both our staff, Lincoln University staff, and commission members have met with the architect in the pre-design meeting to kick that off. We've set a schedule of every 2 weeks for those meetings to continue, and we're working through refinement of the various allocation of spaces throughout the building. We're still talking about roughly an 82,000 square foot structure, and some of the work is going back and reevaluating some of the initial thinking of what would be included in the various spaces and working through that with the architect. We're also continuing working on development of our operating plan. We're getting closer with that and refining our operating budget and cost allocation that will occur once we are up in full operation. And again, it's things have kind of kicked into high gear with regular meeting schedules as much as we can to pull together the details. Be happy to answer any questions.
Bill, do you have a deadline on when floor plans are supposed to be done or will be done?
I think we'll probably have a conceptual floor plan agreed to within probably the next 2 weeks. Once that's done, then the architects will start getting into detailed planning, construction planning, and documents for the details of the building.
And that plan would be a plan of not just the commission, park staff, obviously yourself, Dr. Rome, his curators, a combined floor plan.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay.
Correct, yes.
Any other questions, Mr. Scribner?
Bill, have we've talked in terms of exploratory. Are we beyond exploratory now? Or are we at the point that we're I guess I'd like to know when we'll know if this agreement's going to come together.
I think we've been approaching it in the manner that we are beyond exploratory. There are obviously a lot of details still to be worked out. So far, there don't appear to be any hurdles, roadblocks that we're not going to be able to overcome. But as the design progresses, so will the operating agreements and memorandum of understanding. All the details put together for that, and identifying the financial responsibilities. We think we're in the range of what we had anticipated, so hopefully we'll be able to put all the details together on that. Both sides of the coin can kind of progress simultaneously.
It's great news. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Is Drew also working, or who's working on your MOU? Is Drew working on that at one time?
Drew has kind of worked on some draft language. We're still pulling some of that together. Part of the basis of that will be the operating agreement that we're working on with our consultant, Ballard King and Associates. That'll probably form the basis for the MOU, but we'll have to have Drew add all of the legalese related to immunity and insurance and all of those kind of things that are part of a normal contractual arrangement.
Bill, I know this is a project that I think was first brought up September 2nd in these chambers, if I remember correctly. That was the Tuesday after Labor Day, which has been a pretty long time ago. I know it takes time to get these resources and whatnot together and all the different boards, but as the mayor, I think the council would agree, and if you don't, please tell me now. I think any resource you need from us as far as staffing or whatever it takes to help get this accomplished and agreed to, I think the council would be in improvement of that. Would that be correct, ladies and gentlemen? So with that, live long, prosper, and bring us back some floor plans.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Okay. Next, Mr. Allen. Randy is the CEO and president of our Jefferson City Area Chamber of Commerce, along with his Economic Development Vice President, Missy Bono. Randy and Missy, welcome. So you got Sean Sapp
and Sean.
here.
Sean is our manager of our existing business program as well. So between the three of us, we're going to do a tag team. We'll try to run through this fairly quickly, although, as you know, in the past we have taken our time to point out what the Chamber has done for you in 2014. So, again, if you have any questions at the end, we'd be glad to field those. I do want to also thank the Chamber Chairman, Greg Bexton, who is seated at the back of the room here tonight, and also Jeremy Winiger, who is a board member of the Chamber and also an at-large Executive Committee member. And Diane Gillespie just left, I guess. She's also a board member. Okay. This is the agenda tonight. We're going to go through our activities in these categories, and we're also going to update our return on investment scenarios with you, as well as talk a little bit about 2015 economic development activities. For 2014, this is the split of the Chamber budget comparing economic development spending and Chamber spending. You can see the economic development spending in 2014 was about 60%, or about $555,000. This is how it's broken out. Personnel expenses, economic development expenses, community development expenses, regular operations expenses, and then committee and membership development expenses. We track our time as employees and staff to the various projects that we have. We have about 200 different projects that the Chamber works on, and they're classified obviously in economic development terms or Chamber terms, and so that's how we come up with the split with that. Economic development expenses, you can see there are no Chamber expenses in that. As well as the community development expenses. The operations expenses are prorated according to the split between the personnel and the time that is involved in that. So you can see that's where this breakout comes from. And this gives you, you seem to be interested in how the different staff works. And you can see that there is no one staff person dedicated to economic development solely or to Chamber solely. That helps in the facilitation of these activities and allows us to move staff from one thing to another. You can see here there's Missy Bono has 6% Chamber and Dana Strump has 6 or 7% in economic development. So the rest of us have varying degrees of split with regard to what we work on at the Chamber. Oh, sorry, went too far. This is the breakdown that shows how the economic development funds are used, the sources and uses of spending. On the left-hand side, the bottom three, obviously the first one is the contract with the City of Jefferson. Then the next is the contract with the County of Cole. And then our 21st Century Economic Development entity provides $60,000 of support toward that base level funding for economic development. That equals $395,000. Next, the Chamber receives membership investment income, which is about $363,000, and then we raise money through our events and miscellaneous income. So you can see that the base level spending turned out to be about $555,000, or about $160,000 more than the base level economic development program. And then I'll turn it over to Missy, and she'll start briefing you about business attraction.
Thank you, Randy. A big part of my job and my job responsibility is attracting business and industry to Jefferson City. And you can see for 2014, we worked 28 projects. 28 of those projects actually turned into more work for the project, and we had 3 site visits. And we had an announcement that I'll be talking about as well. So for 2014 overall, our numbers looked pretty good as far as interest in Jefferson City. There are 2 projects that I wanted to talk to you about, the 2 projects that we had site visits this year. The first one is Project Osaka, and this project we received on July the 7th. This was a very large Japanese-owned manufacturer. When they came to us, they were going to put 1 million square feet of manufacturing, along with 500,000 square feet of warehouse, and then again with a separate 500,000 square feet of manufacturing. So overall, 2 million square feet in Jefferson City, which is very, very large. They were going to employ 200 employees at startup and up to 1,200 at full build-out in 2020. The average wage, 14 to 15 for manufacturing, with an overall 24 to 25 hour dollars per hour for the average for all employees. The investment, 70 to 100 million in capital investment, and they were looking for 200 acres. Like I said, they came to us on July the 7th, and they actually came into Jefferson City on a site visit on July 21st. So it was a very, very quick, very fast turnaround time. The competition that they were looking at, our competition, was Indiana, Illinois, Kansas, and Missouri, and they actually were looking at 11 communities just in the state of Missouri alone. So we ended up getting eliminated due to the cost of improvements to the site, and I will show you the site that we proposed. The site was was isolated. They wanted more visibility, which we didn't really learn that until after they got here, and they kind of figured that out once they saw our site. But this project is still looking at Missouri, and the one site left in Missouri is Lee Summit. So the site that The site that we propose to them is a site that is just east of Command Web. It is a site that sits right on the rail, has a great 161 kV electric line that runs through it, and it's a very large site, although it's a very raw site. There's a lot of infrastructure that is needed to get that site up and running, and that is one reason why our site did get eliminated. The second project I want to talk to you about is Project Aluminum, and this project we received in April, and this was actually a unique situation where we knew the name of the company up front, and that very rarely happens in business attraction and economic development. But the name of the company is Icho, and they are headquartered in China. This was a very large separation plant for aluminum and aluminum recycling. And I want to point out, in this particular project, they came to us saying that they were going to employ 70 people, but through the months that we worked with them, that grew from 70 jobs to 233. It started out at $5 million investment, and it grew to $51 million investment. So one reason I just wanted to point this out to you is these projects are ever changing, and when they come to you and they tell you certain parameters, 99% of the time those parameters end up changing. But when they came to us, they were looking for 75,000 square feet existing building, and then 30 additional acres to add a smelting plant. So we proposed the chamber owns a spec building that we built in 2007, but again, they were looking for additional acreage. So we had two different options, one site right across the street from the spec building, and then also another option for them, which is a certified site that's owned by the chamber as well. Again, we started working with them in April. They came to visit Jefferson City on July 30th, which is still in the ED world is pretty quick timeline. They were looking at Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Missouri, and just seven communities in Missouri. So if you do the math, you figure they're probably looking at 5 to 7 communities in all of those states. So we were one of probably 35 communities that they were looking at. When it came down to it, Jefferson City, we were eliminated due to the cost of finishing out the building and the fact that we lacked land, that 30 acres that they were looking for. They really wanted the building and the land all on the same tract, and we were unable to provide that to them. So we were eliminated. It was down to, there was a community in Kentucky, and Fulton, Missouri was their number 2 site, and we just recently found out at the 1st of February that Fulton is now eliminated as well. So again, the tract of land that we were proposing, the spec building and some acreage right across from our spec building, and the certified site right off of Militia and Algoa. I'm sorry, off of Militia and where Fabic's located. And I just have to kind of do a shout out to city staff. There are people in this room that probably hate the fact that I have their cell phone. Janice McMillan, Matt Marash, Bill Betts, they get calls from me on probably very, very often. A lot of times, very quick time frame, needing information, and a lot of your city staff provide great information to me when I'm working business attraction projects. So I want to just say thank you to all city staff. Missouri Partnership, that is the state entity that works business attraction and marketing within the statewide. And I wanted to show you this slide just to show that of the 21 wins that Missouri received this year for projects, 16 of them were either in St. Louis or Kansas City, and there were 5 in outstate Missouri. So it just goes to show that there aren't a whole lot of business attraction projects in outstate Missouri. Of all the ones that located in outstate Missouri, we were able to work the project GAF that ended up locating to Moberly. We did end up getting eliminated as well, but we were in the hunt on that project. So like I said, we have a spec building that we market, and we built that in 2007. In 2014, we had 4 business attraction projects look at our spec building, and then we also did have one existing business that was very interested in our spec building that ended up they went with a different plan, but we did propose our spec building to them as well. So one of the announcement project that I wanted to talk about, which everybody in this room had a hand in, is the Special Olympics Missouri. We worked that project a big portion of 2014, and they did announce in January. And this is a project that I'm very, very excited about. The Chamber's very excited about. It's a one of a kind in that's going to locate to our community. But some of the things that we work to help the Special Olympics that I think really helped us get pushed over the edge between Jefferson City, Columbia, is they have a Healthy Athletes program, which is health screenings for their athletes. This is going to be a Training for Life campus that's going to bring 16,000 athletes to our community per year. And one of the things that we propose to help them do is put together a Healthy Athlete Task Force with JCMG, St. Mary's, Cap Region to help provide those screenings. Civic Progress, we have a subcommittee put together, again, for this project that will help with this project as they go down the road. The thing that was a huge part of this project was the 15.5 acres that the Farmer Holding Company and Tweehouse Excavating provided to Special Olympics. And then the City Council unanimously supported $300,000 in infrastructure, which was very much appreciative. So the site, and I think everybody knows where the site is, but right at 179 and Highway 54, again, farmers donated 15.5 acres. And this is a site plan that Special Olympics has been working off of, and you can see all the different courts and soccer fields and buildings that they will be building in the future. Again, it's a one of a kind. It's the largest training campus for individuals with intellectual disabilities in the United States, and it's going to be in Jefferson City, Missouri. This is modeled after the U.S. Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and I think this will be just great visibility for them as people are entering into Jefferson City from 54, from St. Louis, Kansas City, and Lake of the Ozarks. There is a regional economic development partnership that we are a part of called Missouri Core, and when companies are looking at a business attraction project and they're looking at a community, they don't start by just looking at one community. They start at looking, at 5 or 6 states, and then they'll look at, a state, and then they'll look at a region within that state. And so we are a part of Missouri Core, and that consists of Audrain, Boone, Cole, Callaway, and Cooper counties, all right here in central Missouri. So the 3 areas that they primarily focus on is attraction and marketing, existing and retention, and entrepreneurship. And so this year for the attraction and marketing, the attraction events that we attended as a core group is 15. The attraction projects that we all worked on collectively as a region was 60, and with all of the counties, the site visits were 35. So there were 5 new projects that located in the region with 156 new jobs. And these were the attraction project announcements. 3 of them were in Colombia, 1 was in Mexico, and like I talked about earlier, Special Olympics in Jefferson City. Again, expansion is a big part of what we try to work on collectively, and the projects that we've identified in the region that were potentially going to expand were 30. There were 12 expansion projects that were announced with a new investment of $108 million and 520 new jobs. A big part of what we work on is workforce development, and I've talked about this in the past, our certified work-ready communities. We are one of 44 counties that are in progress. This is a certification program through ACT, which is the same ACT that we all took as seniors. And right now, Cole County is at 49% of our goal. And one of the things that we started doing with this program this year was we started testing at Jefferson City Public Schools and Department of Corrections to help those folks get a certification that they can take out to employers and be able to market this certification to employers in our community. Information Technology Roundtable, one of the things that we keep hearing from our businesses is the fact that they have a hard time finding IT employees and workers, and so this is something that we started this year in 2014, was an IT roundtable, and we have 22 businesses and educational entities that are participating in this now. It's been a huge success. Again, a lot of the issues that are addressed, employment needs of IT companies, workforce issues. We do market the IT internship positions as well, and it's something that has really grown in 2014. With that, I think I am turning it over to Sean Sappenfield.
Okay, Sean Sappenfield, existing business manager, and I also handle the small business duties for the Chamber. This slide here, the first one that I'll start with, is a snapshot going back to 2007 through 2014, and this is identified expansion projects. It's a lot of information here, but as you can see, in 2014, we've had 11 projects that have been identified, 298 jobs, in the investment, $24 million. In this, when we talk about identified projects, as we move through the years, some of these projects may be announced, some of them may be inactive or on hold, or as we call them, dead. For whatever reason, they do not mature. This slide we're looking at, again, going back to 2007, we're looking at expansions projects that are announced, so projects that have moved forward by the company. And as you can see, moving through the years, we've had very good luck with a number of announced projects and the jobs and investment and payroll equated to each of those in each of those years. Again, I would direct you to 2014 with six announcements, 162 jobs, just over $6 million in payroll, and $77 million plus in private investment. This is a look at the, as the earlier slide, 2014. This is a look at the companies and the investment that is attributed to that. Again, the total investment, just over $77 million, 162 jobs, and $6.3 million in payroll. And as you can see, I would point out that we work a lot, I work a lot with our manufacturers. In Huber & Associates, you may remember their announcement in mid-2014, and Wipro, Info Crossings, their expansion as well. So outside the manufacturing realm. Company site visits. I spend a lot of time out and about visiting with our employers, setting up sit-down meetings to identify obviously any expansion opportunities or issues or concerns by that company that maybe the Chamber and or another resource within our community could assist with. As you can see, 125 visits. And again, as I had indicated, I work a lot with our manufacturers and distribution centers. My work outside of that, the meetings outside of that, as you can see, with the financial services, 9, information technology, 13, and so on. Enhanced Enterprise Zone, some of you may or may not remember in 2009, the Chamber, on behalf of the city and the county, made application to the Department of Economic Development for an Enhanced Enterprise Zone. This designation was received in late 2009, and what this program provides is a tax credit and based on jobs and investment, and there is also a real property abatement feature as well. In 2012, based on an expansion, an announcement by ALPLA, they were awarded $124,000 plus in enhanced enterprise zone credits. In 2014, the company received $10,000 in benefits, and again, that was based on jobs and investment going back to the 2012 announcement. The Missouri Works program, this is a program that in 2014 was created. It was a combination. They folded together 4 different programs at Department of Economic Development. And Huber, as I spoke to, Huber and Associates, their expansion announcement in 2014, the Chamber worked with them directly, and they were approved for Missouri through the Missouri Works program for withholdings. Basically, what this provides to the company is a withholdings. They retain their withholdings based on new jobs, only the new jobs. And as you can see, the total based on that project was $61,000 plus. Missouri Customized Training Program. You see here that this is 4 companies, 4 manufacturers here within our community that received. This is basically a training grant for the training of new employees and for retraining purposes. Again, these monies flow from the state of Missouri through a conduit, State Technical College of Missouri, to provide these training services. Again, the customized training program, I wanted to show a snapshot going back to 2008 and the funding that has been received by local companies here within Cole County. As you can see, the question becomes what happened in 2014. This is 2014. This goes to the governor's withholdings. So funding went from $14 million in 2013 to just over $3 million in 2014. And I do not, with talking to our counterparts at Division of Workforce Development, 2015 does not look much better. So that's something we're concerned with. It's a great program, but this is a statewide program, so our concerns are held by many others. DST, the closure, September of 2014, we received news that the local office would be shut down, and total losses of jobs would be 70. That shutdown occurred in mid-December, officially December 31. The Chamber, once the information was received, the Chamber's contact with DST here locally, we made that contact. There was not much that the executive director could tell us, but working through another counterpart there at their business, I organized, along with a lot of help from other individuals at the Chamber and representatives from the IT world, information technology companies here in town. We put together a job fair, and this job fair was specifically driven towards DST employees. We had 25 local companies. There were a couple outside, 2 from Columbia that did attend, and this was, even though it was on the downslide, this was a great event because it was well represented, not only by the business community, but by the employees at DST. And based on research, we have understood that research with the company, individuals and companies within our communities that have hired DST employees, our best guess is we're between 70 and 80% of those employees retained employment here locally. Rural community outreach, based on our contract for 2014 with the County of Cole. We were asked to reach out to the rural communities. So myself and Missy Bono attended a city council meeting in each one of these communities last fall, and we provided basically information on our services and any outreach that the chamber could provide, and or any other resources that they may need moving forward. So it was an outreach event. And this is just a quick look. What I do after each one of those meetings, I will venture back out to the community the next week and stop in and visit with each one of the businesses or companies within that community. As I had indicated, I also handle the small business programs. Small Business Academy, this is a partnership with the University of Missouri Cole County Extension Office, an 11-week course, and in 2014, these are the individuals that participated in that course. So it's outreach to our small business community. Tuesday topic, another outreach program under our small business program. We provide six of these events a year, and as you can see, they are well attended. Startup Jefferson City, this is one that I especially like because we all know in past years we hear more and more about entrepreneurs, new business startups. And this program is exactly what we're trying to do here locally, is reach out and identify those individuals that may like to start a business or maybe have started a business, kind of taking the next step. We had 3 events last year, encouraging entrepreneurship, practice pitch, and pitch it and win it. The Pitch It and Win It is an event where entrepreneurs can pitch their business idea. And we have 11 participants that participated in that contest. We worked with RMI, Rural Missouri, Inc., Ken Lucanati and his group. They provided, the last 3 years, they have provided funding for this, our major sponsor, to the tune of $6,000 in 2014. And as you can see there, these are our 3 winners from 2014. And with that, I'm going to pass it back over to Randy.
Okay, the next thing that the Chamber works on your behalf are community development projects. I want to highlight 2 that we worked on in 2014. The Conference Center, we assisted the city with RFP development. We also assisted you all with the best and final offer phase of the project, and then Diane Gillespie and I worked on return on investment numbers for the Conference Center, which you eventually took into consideration when deciding. The next thing, obviously, the St. Mary's reuse project was big last year. The governor did announce that he had put $10 million in the budget for that project, which included Lincoln University and State Technical College. The Chamber organized an effort to work the legislature. You can see the copy of the flyer that we handed out, and we were successful in securing $6 million from the legislature, which many people thought wasn't possible for this project. And unfortunately, the funds were vetoed by the governor at the end of the session, so the project went back to the same status that it is currently today. Next, we provide community development support to the other business associations in the community. You can see those listed there. During 2014, the Chamber and the CVB provided board members to each of the Chamber was a board member on the CVB board, but only in an ex officio non-voting capacity. And we now have a full voting membership on the CVB board, and Diane Gillespie is now a full member of the Chamber board as well. In addition, we started the Collaboration Council new in 2014, which includes quarterly meetings with all these business associations to kind of make sure that everybody maybe is on the same page. Very, very successful as a starting point. One thing, downtown revitalization, we assisted the Downtown Association with the proposed Community Improvement District. That project went kind of dormant for a period of time, but it's now back again, and we're working with the Downtown Association to make sure something happens with the CID. And then one of the projects that we're extremely proud of that I think has done a lot to spur development in the Old Town area is Hidden Spaces, Secret Places. This was started during the transformation process, and it's very, very popular. We're going to continue to do it again this year, and we think it leads to people's interest in renovating existing buildings in the Old Town area. And the one transportation initiative that I want to talk a little bit about, obviously is the Lafayette Street Interchange and the Enhancement Program. The Chamber brought this idea to the County Commission, and the County Commission took it on, and then obviously the city supported that in the end, and we think that's going to be very beneficial as a gateway to the community when the new Lafayette Street interchange is completed, as well as the Chestnut and Jackson Street overpasses. And then I want to talk a little bit about, as we are required to do in your contract, to tell the City Council what we have invested in the industrial parks. This is a snapshot of the 2006 to 2014 investments in 21st century land improvements, which is Partnership Business Park. Again, about $4.3 million, broken out in these particular categories. Next, I want to talk a little bit about the return on investment calculations. You can see here, the first slide is the anticipated economic return to the city and the county through tax revenues in sales tax and property tax from the projects that you see. Again, Morris Converting, Command Web, which was a combination of an addition to the building and a business expansion. And then the projects that Sean works that you saw a little bit about earlier, existing business expansions and the amount of wages, jobs, and investment that those bring. So you can see that that investment is growing. Why does it grow? Well, because once you get the jobs in place, they stay for a period of time, so they just compound on each other. Over that period of time, about $699,000 per year through 2016. And you can see this is a little better for spreadsheet geeks. This is a little bit better view of that. What it does show is, and we've shown the Chamber contract on the second to the bottom line, but even with that amount of expenditure, the city and the county are in positive, and in fact, in 2014, $306,000 to the positive. Again, this is what this chart shows as well, the combination of all those expansion and new projects. And then we also do it for the county schools. Now, county schools don't receive any sales tax, but they do receive property tax. They receive just under 70% of all the property tax, so actually their benefit is more. And then we assume that the county schools divide up by the amount of appraised value that each has in the county of Cole. Jefferson City Public Schools has some appraised value in Callaway County, but we do not count that. And then the last thing I want to talk a little bit about is the 2015 ED activities. The Chamber had its board retreat a week ago, I guess a week ago tomorrow. And previously to that board retreat, we surveyed the Chamber board members on 60 economic development activities. And then during that meeting, we discussed them for a full day. And then at the end of the meeting, we actually surveyed the board again to see what the difference was in their ranking with those 60 activities. And I've given you 3 slides that show the ranking. This is a pure rank. So you can see how the board, in the blue, voted at the end of the retreat versus how the board voted prior to that. So obviously we had a lot of discussion about those, and we intend to take this information to you as well in the next month or so and discuss it further and get your opinion on the economic development activities for 2015. And with that, we'd be glad to answer any questions.
Randy, Missy and Sean, thanks a lot for being here tonight. I know you cover an awful lot, and obviously you're funded at a great deal. Between us and the county, it's $330 a year, is that right?
$335.
$335, okay. Any direct questions from the council at this point in time? Bob?
Randy, going all the way back to page 3, if I'm reading this right and understanding, I guess it's actually page 4. If I'm reading this correctly, the contribution by the city of Jefferson, $185,000, by Cole County, $150,000, and then you said the 21st Century ED supports $60,000. Where does that money come from?
That's our subsidiary corporation, the same corporation that holds the land and invests in the industrial park.
That's actually chamber money.
That's yes, yeah.
Okay, but
it's a wholly owned
It came
subsidiary.
from chamber membership. It didn't come from the county or the
That's correct.
city.
Right. It's chamber money from our separate subsidiary.
Okay. And if I'm reading this right, you spent, what, $371,000?
Total on economic development?
Right, on the economic development?
555.
555, okay.
Right.
All right. So if you spent 555 and together the city and county put 335 in, where does the additional spending on economic development come from?
Well, it's from chamber membership investment. So we use part of our chamber membership investment for economic development purposes.
Okay, so the concern that has been expressed is that the chamber is using money from the county and the city to fund chamber activities, but according to this, you're actually spending chamber membership money.
It's the other way around.
It's the other way around.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else for Mr. Allen? Glenn?
Yes, it's Mr. Allen on page 14 and 15. When Ms. Bonnet was talking about regional economic development partnerships, there were 12 expansion projects announced on her slide. How many of those were in Jefferson City?
6.
Thank you. And on the next one, talked about certified work-ready communities. What is being work-ready certified?
Thank you, Missy.
This is actually a really great program through ACT to where if you are an employee and you're looking for employment, you can go and take this certification test, which consists of 3 different areas. One is math, one's locating information, and one is finding location. So there's like two different information components and one mathematics. And there's different, you can either, whenever you take this test, and it's a 3-hour test, and you're certified either at a platinum, gold, silver, bronze level to really be able to quantify your skills in those areas. And then you take that certification, say, to an ABB or to an ALPLA and show your certification level, and they can see where your skills lie. And so a lot of companies, ABB, for example, they use it as a screening process. So if they are getting ready to hire someone, they can send them to get this test. They can take this test so they can bring it back to them and show kind of where their skills are. And it's been a really, really good program in Jefferson City. Right now we have 94 out of our goal is to get 117 businesses that will support this process. Right now we have 94 businesses, and then our goal is to have 613 certifications in Cole County, and right now we have 345. So we still have 51% to get to our goal, but it's a way to really quantify your workforce in our county. So right now we have, there's 8 counties in the state of Missouri that are already certified, and we're a county that's in progress.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Bob?
Randy, I want to follow up. We talked about the chamber actually spending economic development, or spending chamber membership on economic development. Who makes the decision to do that?
The board of directors.
Okay. In other words, your membership, represented by the board,
Right.
makes a decision to spend those funds.
Right, it's
on that.
important.
Okay. And then you went over it really quickly, and I think I understand it, but I want to make sure that folks at home that might be watching understand, you're talking about return on investment. What represents return on investment for the money, the economic development monies that we're spending? What are you actually identifying there?
Well, in 2013, we put together, we said, how can we measure the results of some of our work in terms of, just say, direct income to the city and the county. And what we did is we looked at appraised value, sales tax revenue, and wages, and determined that over the last 10 years, those numbers pretty much stayed the same. So we have $1,900,000,000.
Stay the same as a percentage.
That's right. So we determined that as wages go up, so does the appraised value in your community, and so does sales tax revenue. And so we basically looked at the increase of wages, which we think is the predominant economic driver in your community, and then made that calculation to what income the city and the county would receive through increased appraised value and sales tax revenue through those wages.
So if wages, because new jobs come to town, if wages increase $500,000 from one year to the next, you can predict, based on a model that you created, that a percentage of those wages will result in higher property taxes, sales taxes, and what was the third one?
Well, property and sales.
Property and sales
Yeah.
taxes, okay.
Yeah.
And using that predictive model, you have shown that there is a return over and above what the city and county have invested together. There's a return to the city and county that is more than what we've invested.
Right, and we just count the ones that the larger ones that we work on. There's a lot of other, obviously new wages in a community and small business and whatever, but we just count the ones that we have worked on over the past 7 years.
Okay, all right, and you've also demonstrated that for the schools as well, and as you indicated, because of being primarily funded by property tax, theirs is an even larger.
That's correct.
impact. Okay. And I had one other question, and I can't remember what it was, so we'll just stop at that.
Okay.
Thank you, Randy.
One more question here, and when Mr. Sappenfield was briefing about the startup programs and those three businesses, each got $2,000, a couple questions came to mind. And how were these businesses doing now, and how many folks are employed by them?
Go back to that real quick. The One for All Daycare just started in December. They received their license from the Department of Senior Services in January. In January, they were at five employees. Now, Drivers Barbecue is a 1.5 person shop, home business. Now, the Kid Edison, this is an individual that has developed or is still developing a software model, and he's piloting this in the Jeff City school system that would basically teach entrepreneurship to the kids. So it's not a job creator. So it's basically more, if the education, it could lead to it, but it's not considered job creator.
Thank you. I was just wondering, because I know I read about this in the paper all the time, and everybody thinks these are businesses that are getting started up. And how big are they getting? And I can see.
Right. It depends on the type of business and the level to which they possibly could grow.
Thank you for your answer.
All right, anyone else? Randy, I want to thank you and your staff. Ken, did you have something real quick? Go ahead.
On the last 2 pages, Randy, you talk about the ED activities. You mentioned you're going to come back to us at some point. What's that going to look like? Or you said you want to come back in the next month and have a conversation.
What I'd like to do
is
to have a joint meeting between the City Council and the County Commission and discuss it.
Okay. A lot of these seem like they're in line with the survey matches maybe the retreat ranking, but some of them are
way out,
drastically different. Do you attribute that maybe to a lack of understanding as to specifically what you were asking on the survey type thing?
Yeah, and we did that on purpose. We had an explanation with it, but we said, give us your first shot. Don't spend a lot of time thinking about this, but rank them all, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So. Yeah, and once they were discussed at the retreat and details were talked about and people argued back and forth about the benefits of each one, then I think they made a more knowledgeable choice.
Okay. And then do you, I guess in the next month, do you kind of envision that conversation prioritizing these to determine where you go in the next 6 months, 12 months?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we hope to get with you all and get your opinions on it, and then fashion some, priorities for 2015.
All righty. Thank you.
Anyone else? Bob?
I remembered my question or comment. In a meeting that I attended, and I think there were some other council members there as well, although I can't remember who all was at the meeting, a point was made that the unemployment rate and so forth is really, and I don't remember the percentages now, maybe Missy can help us with it, but has really been pretty stable in Jefferson City given what it's done nationally. Mm-hmm. And it appeared to me that given the fact that we lost R.R. Donnelly and the state has cut back significantly on jobs in Jefferson City, for us to maintain an unemployment rate like we did would indicate that private business has taken up the slack for the loss of those jobs, and that we really as a net are just about break even over the last 5-6 years. And I think that, and I might be wrong in what I'm saying here, but I think that's what I took from that. That was my takeaway from that meeting. Would you kind of explain or maybe expound on that, or expand on that? Because I think that's when we start trying to judge whether we've had any positive results over the last 5 years from our economic development efforts, I think the fact that we've been able to maintain the status quo even despite losing several hundred jobs with R. Donnelly and also losing state jobs. Could you maybe do a better job of pointing that out than what I did?
I'll try. The state, since let's say the last 10 years, or even maybe to early 2001 or 2, the state has lost about 3,500 of its 18,000 jobs in Cole County. During that same period of time, we have basically kept the employment solid in Cole County. Now, total employment is down in Cole County, but it's down everywhere. The good news is that we have made that up in wages. Wages, assessed value, have continued to go up during that period of time. So I think it's due to the fact that we are growing some of these sectors. I mean, if you just look at the existing business program, it's 600 and some, jobs during that period of time paying really pretty good wages. So it's the wage growth, I think, that has helped, keep that momentum going, Bob. Again, we're down slightly, but not like some communities around the country or even the state that have lost a substantial amount of employees. But to make up 3,500 jobs from state government I think is pretty telling.
Especially when the state hasn't helped
pay raises
with any pay increases, so they haven't really done anything to help that employment wage number go up.
Right.
Well, Randy, thank you for being here. Thanks for your staff for being here. I have one quick question. If the tables were turned tonight and you were in my seat or one of these other seats, what would be the number one thing that an elected official could do for economic development when it comes to the chamber? What's the number one thing we can give you as the chamber?
Continued support
for economic development.
Yeah, continued support, and being one of the 3 legs of the stool as an economic development team. You guys have been substantially supportive with the county on these efforts. This is a team game, and we've all got to participate. You can bring incentives and support and regulatory things to us that we can't do. I mean, we just can't do it. We have to find it, work it, and then bring it to you. And I think that's the big thing. Just continue to do that.
Okay. Randy, thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. I tell you what, it's 25 after. We will take... Oh, Drew, who had a question?
Real brief, I was asked to, that we occasionally get asked whether the chambers actually fulfilled the requirements of their contract, and I would suggest to you that they have. We require them to do those services that Randy talked about, and we do it in a generalized way, so we do leave them of their own devices as to how specifically to carry those out. And you can see from his presentation as to why we only provide a certain portion of the funding, so we require certain things, but a good deal of it's also directed by other folks. And the metrics, as you see, are in our contract as they reported on are generally effort driven and not result driven, because there's so many things out of their control as to whether they can land an effort or not. So I did want to tell people, because you do occasionally get that question, well, have they really complied with the contract? And the answer is yes.
All right. Randy, one other thing, Phyllis asked me this earlier and I forgot to mention it. Could you give her an electronic copy of this? She normally puts this on the website. All right. It is 26 after. In 5 minutes we'll come back. We'll take a brief recess, and we'll be right back. Rash.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Vacation of this alley is related to Cap Region's expansion of their parking lots. They're needing to do this while we're working on Monroe Street. That parking will be removed, and they'll have to have new parking spaces. So they'll go over a vacated alley.
Thank you, Matt. Any questions of staff? Seeing none, first reading of 122, please.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri vacating and discontinuing rights-of-way and easements associated with lots 30 through 34 of the Trails of Kaufman Hills subdivision.
Matt.
Yeah, Janice and I are both working on this, but basically the 122 and 123 both pertain to roughly the same thing as Trails of Kaufman Hills subdivision. The one we're talking about right now vacates certain easements and right-of-way. Originally, it was platted as a cul-de-sac, so it had the easements associated and right-of-way with that. And then the next bill, Janice is going to pull it up here, I believe. Yeah, she's back. It will turn to a through street, which is actually, I think, more preferred from city staff standpoint. This is kind of what we had worked on proposing originally, the through street. So, happy to answer any questions.
Any questions on 122? Seeing none, we'll have first reading of 123, please.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri accepting and approving the replat of lots 30 through 34 of the Trails of Kaufman Hills, Section 3, a subdivision of the City of Jefferson, Missouri.
Janice.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As Matt described, this is the area that shows the vacation of the existing cul-de-sac that's in the Trails of Kaufman Hills. And what's proposed, it's a little difficult to see here, is a vacation of that cul-de-sac and instead an extension of Nob Hill Road, and probably a little more clear on this street. This area shows a convergence of several subdivisions, Westminster Estates, the Trails of Kaufman Hills, Foxborough, and Country Club Estates. So this connection is really a benefit to all of these subdivisions. And so Nob Hill Road will be extended down to Greystone Drive instead of a cul-de-sac coming up here and ending. The Planning and Zoning Commission considered the vacation of the right-of-way and the preliminary and final subdivision plat at their meeting in February, and so recommended that it be approved. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions on 123? All right, we'll have first reading of 124, please.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute an agreement with MECO Engineering Company, Incorporated, in the amount of $38,120 for the Walnut Pump Station odor control evaluation.
Matt.
Thank you. As clerk indicated, this is an engineering contract with MECO here locally in Jefferson City. The pump station is just west of the Capitol. Most of you know it. It's near a new development that's coming online for the old power plant building. There's already a bike shop located there right now. You may not know that we've had some odor issues in that area for a long time, but now that people are getting closer in proximity to it, we're trying to look at ways to improve that situation.
Any questions on 124? First reading of 125, please.
An ordinance amending Chapter 21, nuisances of the Code of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, defining a landowner's responsibility as it pertains to abatement of nuisances.
Janice.
Thank you. Section 21-3 in the code specifically requires adjacent landowners to remove trash, mow, and otherwise maintain the areas of land adjacent to their actual property line and adjacent curb, street, right-of-way. In the administration of this code, it was discovered that it could be worded a little more clearly, and so that's really the purpose of this amendment, is to make it very clear that the adjoining property owner is in fact responsible for removing trash from the right-of-way adjacent to their property, whether it, regardless of where that right-of-way may occur.
Any questions of Janice on 125? All right, first reading 126, please.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, amending the Code of the City of Jefferson, Missouri pertaining to after-hours operation.
Janice.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is another code amendment that we're requesting that modifies Section 17-33. This is actually in the code pertaining to business licenses. There's a specific use group that to which after-hours operations applies, and our building official, in review of the city codes, has recommended that this be modified to reflect the A2 assembly use, which includes banquet halls, nightclubs, restaurants, bars, and taverns. And so this is the type of use that regularly has hours, which we call after hours, that may operate between the hours of 1:30 a.m. and 4 a.m.
Any questions at all? All right, thank you very much, staff, for that. Next, we'll go into bills pending. We'll have third reading of 2014-118.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute an agreement with Wish and Vaughn Construction Company, Incorporated, in the amount of $54,980 for the Collections System Maintenance Building Modifications Project.
Matt.
Excuse me. As clerk indicated, thank you. As clerk indicated, this is a construction contract with Wish and Vaughn to modify our wastewater collection building. It's basically on one wing. We have 4 narrow doors. They're 10-foot doors. We'll be converting those to 2 larger doors, so you have new headers and beams in that area. Basically, our equipment has grown over the years, and these large trucks, they barely fit through these 10-foot doors, so high-cost equipment, we don't want to be hitting the doors. If you happen to answer any questions, it was designed by city staff, and we actually had our new building official help us look through it. He's been quite helpful in that regard. Appreciate that.
Any questions on 118? Council debate.
Question.
Yes, sir, Mr. Graham.
So Wish and Vaughn was the only individual that bidded on this project?
Right. They were the only individual that bid. We did solicit a couple other folks with some questions, and they chose not to put in a bid.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or debate on 118? Jim Branch.
Matt, I noticed that there's a little bit of discrepancy between the funds available and the bid amount. Is that going to be an issue?
No, that probably should have been corrected by now. That's what is in the account initially, but we've transferred some money from our buildings and grounds account to cover that.
Any other debate or questions on 118? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Graham.
Aye.
Henry.
Aye.
Hussey.
Aye.
Medine.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Scribner.
Aye.
Ward. Aye. Branch.
Aye.
Costalis.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we'll have third reading of 2014-119, please.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a grant agreement between the City of Jefferson and the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for assistance with operating expenses for the air traffic control tower at the Jefferson City Memorial Airport for the period of November 1, 2014 through October 31, 2015.
Matt.
Thank you. As the clerk indicated, this is an agreement with MoDOT for our air traffic control tower. As you might be aware if you've been on the council in the past, the FAA pays a good portion of that contract to man the tower, about 82%. Cities left with the remaining 18% of that contract. They calculate that amount based on a formula. But the 18%, then we get a grant, this grant here that we're talking about through MoDOT, that pays approximately 50% of that 18%. And so the amount of the grant is up to $47,500. And so that not only pays personnel costs, but we can get a few extra costs such as utilities to run that, things like that. You have to answer any questions.
Any questions of Matt on 119? Seeing none, debate. Steve, do you have a question or a comment? Oh, okay. Roll call, please.
Henry.
Aye.
Hussey.
Aye.
Medine.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Scribner.
Aye.
Ward. Aye. Branch.
Aye.
Costalis.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we have third reading of 2014-120.
An ordinance amending Chapter 7, Boards and Commissions of the Code of the City of Jefferson, Missouri pertaining to membership of the USS Jefferson City Submarine Committee.
Mr. Kroll.
And this is a request of the USS Jefferson City Submarine Committee wanting to increase the membership from 7 to 9 people in order to allow more participation on the committee.
Any questions of Steve or other staff on 120? Debate. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Hussey.
Aye.
Medine.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Scribner.
Aye.
Ward. Aye. Branch.
Aye.
Costalis.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Henry.
Aye.
That takes care of that. Nothing under 13, 14. There's someone for 15, but I don't think they're here currently. 16, any council debate? Glenn?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Is it possible when we're having folks come in to brief, if they've got a big package like this, that we can get it days in advance so we have a chance to look through it versus trying to sit here and read 36 pages? And
I think it would depend on the speaker, to be honest, Mr. Costalis. I think some of this stuff they've literally been working on just in the last couple of days. So. Okay. Any new business? Any unfinished business? I do have one small thing. Steve, how long have you been here now? A year? Or right at a year?
Getting close to it, yeah.
Okay.
Why?
Well, what comes with a year is an annual review. And I would just ask all the council members to reach out to me if you have something that you're proud of, which I know we all are, something that you want Steve to improve on. Just let me know. It's something I've got to do. I'd rather get your input first. I'll be working on that. Gail, when do you want it done? In the next week and a half? Okay.
Yes.
All right. I appreciate everyone's input there. Any unfinished business? We won't be going into closed session tonight. Mr. Medine.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. Is there discussion on us adjourning? Seeing none, is there any debate before we would have a motion to adjourn? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Branch. Aye. Costalis.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Henry.
Aye.
Hussey. Medine.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Scribner.
Aye.
Ward. Aye.
We are adjourned.